What's going on, everybody? Let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. It's been on my mind for years since I got the regular trailer, the enclosed trailer, is dump trailers. I'm a guy. Basically a Tonka truck, really, right? You're just turning your truck into a Tonka truck. There is absolutely no reason not to like a dump trailer. So let's talk about it. I've done some pretty extensive research through this time. I've gotten a couple of trailers priced. Just to see what the costs are, compare apples to apples, and I'm going to share all this with you as well. Not all dump trailers are created equal. There's three main different hoists you gotta know. There's some crappy manufacturers out there. There's some cheap dump trailers and some really expensive ones. And for the most part, you're gonna pay for what you get. I've gone to a couple. I've only gone to one trailer yard, and it's very. You can see the off-brand, or if it's a cheap trailer, you can see it in the welds, you can see it in the splatter marks, you can see, there's not much reinforcement where it needs to be, no gusset reinforcement. So there's trailers out there that are gonna, if it's not painted or powder coated correctly, they're gonna rust real quick, and you've seen those all the time. I see them on Facebook Marketplace. People are selling them. They're like 2 years old and they're just full of rust. So again, full disclosure, I'm in Michigan, so Michigan likes its salt on its roads for sure. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But dump trailers, why do you need them? What's the best reason to have them? Let's get into it. For me, there's a couple things. It's income producing asset. Straight up, it can make money for my business. It'll save me time and money on a job site because I don't have to worry about another rollaway dumpster company coming in, working on somebody else's schedule. I have the trailer. It can be on site when I need it to be. And if I need to empty it and refill it, I don't need to pay for another fee. I can just go dump it, come back, and then I'm set to go again. Again, it's an income stream as well because I pass the cost on to the customer. I charge less than obviously the rollaway dumpster. And then I still charge enough where I make my profit, enough to pay any payments I need, insurance, all that kind of stuff, and we'll get into the costs in a little bit. So, a couple things. Dump trailers are force multipliers. If anybody's ever dumped stuff by hand, it sucks. It completely sucks. I've used my personal enclosed trailer full of garbage and take it and unload it by hand, walking stuff over to a dump. It sucks. It completely sucks. There's no... just being able to push a button, lift up your load, dump it out, and then roll, basically just lower it down and just drive off, pay a fee. I mean, come on, absolutely. If you're looking into dump trailers, you gotta take into consideration a few things. The cost of the trailer, which I did, the location of your dump, the insurance, additional insurance, for theft and for obviously anything happens to it, etc., and storage. So it's absolutely, for me anyways, I don't have space for two trailers in my driveway. So I would have to pay for storage for it, which is an additional monthly fee, which you gotta take into consideration. So now a dump trailer has multiple uses, not only dumping trash, like I will be using it for job sites where I'm dumping materials. I just have it there so I can chuck, boards from decks and everything. It's convenience for sure, but it's also an income source. But if I ever get a skid steer, if I have other thing, I would probably use it to move, like just chuck a bunch of my stuff. If I'm moving my house, it's going to go into the dump trailer, providing that it's clean and everything, and throw the tarp kit over it and just haul it to the next house, right? So there's multiple things you can use it for. And it's also, you'd absolutely, brand it. It's going to be another billboard for your business for sure. So, okay. So as far as picking the dump trailers out, you're going to have to go with like a cost, your budget. So you're not going to be able to there's $20,000, there's $30,000 dump trailers out there. Granted, they're huge, but you gotta set yourself a budget, what you can pay for. For me, I will probably end up financing either all of it or part of it. Use somebody else's money to work with it, especially since rates are so low right now. And I would basically use it as a sub business, or like a different bit. Like I'd keep track of it with a different account with all the money that I'm making from the dump trailer to pay off the dump trailer ahead of time, to pay the least amount of interest as possible and still make a profit, obviously. So the storage fee is not going to go away unless I actually move or find, buy property where I can just store it there, and then I have a piece of property that either I'm paying taxes on and or another different mortgage payment, right? So give or take. I did price out in my local area. Outdoor storage is roughly between $50 and $60. Indoor storage is almost twice that. So that would be just covered, not climate controlled. And that's where we stand right now. Now I'm gonna get into a voiceover, and we're gonna basically show you a bunch of trailers, what I like, what I dislike about the different trailers out there. There's a lot of crap out there. I will definitely go ahead and say if your trailer has anything less than a 10 gauge steel floor and sides, it's a garbage trailer. Don't buy it unless it's absolutely free, really cheap. 12 gauge side, I mean, that's super thin. You can't throw much concrete in there. It's going to puncture it. 10 gauge, even absolutely, I would even go with 7 gauge. I know it's an upgrade for a lot of trailer manufacturers. 7 gauge is great. It's going to add some weight. It's going to cut down on your payload, but your trailers is going to last longer. Straight up, it's going to last longer. And there's a couple of brands out there that I will mention out. Lamar, I think a lot of like PJ, they all offer 7 gauge upgrades. Texas Pride trailers. There's a couple other ones out there. I know Diamond C, Big Tex trailers, I want to say. They do all offer like 7 gauge upgrade floors and sides as well. So keep that in mind. Let's roll into the pictures. That way you guys aren't looking at my face all the time, and we can get into more information. Let's hop right into it. This is the trailer I spec'd out from Lamar. It was actually a dealer out of Indiana, which is another reason why I did not go with this, is because it's so far away. It's a pretty long way. It's just not local. Having them custom built this. Basically 7,000 pound axles, like you see it here, same color pattern, which is an upgrade. I had the additional walls, the wireless charger, wireless trickle charger, and then a 5 amp regular 110 volt charger, hydraulic jack. Unlike the one here is pictured, it did have the scissor hoist because they do not offer a telescoping lift hoist, just the scissor or the dual ram. Now, the sidewalls are 7 gauge and the floors are 7 gauge, 12 inches on center floors, which is great. Pretty beefy. I mean, I'm sure this trailer would be fantastic. Powder coated, not painted. So that's another thing we'll get into in a little bit. So that's what you see in front of you right here. They quoted me just over $12,000 for that, kind of delivered to my door, or delivered to Indiana dealer, and I'd have to drive down there. I think it's like 3.5, 4 hour drive for me one way. So entire day wasted driving just to get the trailer. So another thing you had to keep in mind is, how local, where you can get it delivered, all that kind of stuff. You're buying a trailer right off the lot, which is the route that I'm probably going to be going with. So that's this trailer right here. This is obviously a scissor lift. They do not telescoping. They did not offer it. So there you go. All right. So this is the scissor lift. It does have some pros and cons. It makes the trailer heavier because they need to actually reinforce the frame for it to lift this way. It does have a very high, very fast lifting capability, but you can see it lifts from the center of the actual bed itself, not the front, and a little better angle than dual ram as well. So a little more weight, it's faster, but that's about it. So we'll get into the dual ram right here. You can see from this one, you can see where the dual ram actually touches and starts lifting, and it's like almost the back third of the actual bed itself, which it's horrible. This is absolutely not what you want if you're lifting a load. I guarantee you, your pump is working overtime trying to lift this load. Now, every hoist is going to lift the load that the trailer is supposed to lift. So that's one thing. But I see all the trailers with the dual ram, the economic trailers, really. They're just absolutely economic. And this one as well, dual ram, you can see, and this one has it's small, so it's going to have the ramps on the side. I highly don't recommend that because it's obviously a spot where you can actually put lettering for your business or whatever you need. But it does make them, out of the way for sure. I think that's about all I have to say about dual ram. They work, but they're the cheaper version for sure. Now we're going to get into the telescoping hoist. This one is by far the most efficient.
The dual ram's about 40% efficient. Your scissor lift is going to be about 65% efficient, and this is going to be almost 100% efficient. I think it's like 97% efficient at lifting your load up and dumping in everything. So obviously you got a single hoist up front, and it basically lifts the entire load from the front of the trailer as you'd want it to do. Another pro is since it's lifting from the front, you don't need all the frame structure in the center of the actual frame itself, so it makes it obviously a lot lighter than your hoist, than your scissor hoist as well, because you don't need all that weight and that structure to lift everything from the center of the actual bed itself. And I guess the only con is it doesn't lift as fast as the scissor, but it does definitely lifts faster than the dual ram. This is my choice by far on hoist setup. All right, let's get into either you've got your bumper pull or you've got your gooseneck. This is obviously a gooseneck. From everything, all the research that I did, goosenecks just tow better. That's straight up. You can tow. If you have a gooseneck, the load's gonna be easier to tow for your truck. It's just a better transporting experience altogether. Cons is obviously weight, payload. So if you're not aware, 26,000 pounds is the limit for any vehicle, combined gross vehicle weight between truck and trailer. So with this one, so you can see this one particularly has 3 axles. I'm guessing they're going to be 7,000 pounds, so that's a 21,000 pounds. So this truck is going to you're going to need a CDL if you want this trailer, because you're going to be way over the 26,000 pounds. And it's not, when it's loaded, it's just your capability. So if your truck weighs 13,000 and you got this one in here, you are far over. And this is also another gooseneck. This is a big tech, so you can see three axles. And what I like about goosenecks, besides that they tow a little better than bumper pulls, or a lot better, is the space you have on the neck itself. You can see this one has a spare tire up there. You have more space, more storage. Sometimes you have another box up there. There's other things you can do. There's just more. It's a larger trailer, so you can have more tools, more space. You can modify them a little more. And almost always they have the dual drop leg jacks, which is a great option. Now, we're going to go into the bumper pull. This is obviously the triple. This is I believe a SureTrack triple. This is another way doing. I do like the fact that have the tail lights up high, a little better visibility, kind of get out of the way. So if you're backing into something, they might not be able to necessarily get hit. Again, triple, like this is, you're going to need, it's a gooseneck. You're going to need a CDL if you're using it for commercial use, which, I mean, I'm not sure who doesn't, but yeah, you can see the dual jacks up front. In these ones, you're not going to see ramps because they're actually underneath, just like most quality trailers. The ramps themselves store underneath. That way they're out of the way. You've got your side if you need to letter up, and you can post more. 2x12s on the sides to get more capacity as far as cubic feet. So, I mean, again, quality trailers, goosenecks are definitely better. They're better towing experience, but they do weigh a lot. They absolutely weigh a lot. And honorable mention to your single hoist in the center. This is just a homeowner grade kind of around the house. This is not for commercial use, you can see obviously, but you pay for what you get. This is all you need. I mean, I think you can almost toast behind like a 0 turn or something like that. So, but again, you get the single hoist in the center, lifting from the center. All the scissor lift and the dual ram are horizontal, trying to go vertical. That's what makes them so inefficient. But with the scissor, you do have the mathematics about the actual lift itself. That's why it lifts a little faster than the dual ram, and the telescoping in the front as well. So again, this is obviously not for commercial use, but it's out there. And they're obviously cheaper. This is not going to be a $8,000 trailer. This is going to be far below that, but you pay for what you get, right? And now we're going to get into the add-ons, or what these trailers should come with. They should all obviously come with at least a 7,000 pound front jack if you're using this as, again, commercial use, and a tarp kit. In Michigan, where I'm at, it's actually the law. And I think most trash dumps require a tarp kit anyway. So if you don't have one, then you should get one for sure, because you need to add one like this one. You can see up in the front it does as well, but it's just something that you shouldn't have to add on, but it's an add. You guys gotta make sure it's there. Also, on the rear, if you're gonna load any equipment, you're gonna want drop legs on the back of the trailer. Some of these do, and some of them don't. They're usually a add-on as well, but you don't want, if you're you're loading heavy machinery. You don't want the machinery to lift up the back of the truck when you're loading it in, because obviously that's bad. It can tweak your frame, etc., etc. So you want those rear or drop leg jacks as well to support that weight instead of the actual trailer and the truck trying to support the weight as well. Toolboxes up front. Let's talk about batteries. Most every one of them is going to come with one deep cycle battery. Sometimes you can option them for two. And your KTI pump is obviously a must. That's either a standard or what any quality manufacturer is going to use a KTI pump. They're great as far as reliability, and the charging system is inadequate. Like, I think most of them come with a 2 to 3 amp hour charger. Some of them come with a 5 if you want to option it, which is still, if it's a battery's 100 and however many amp hours, it's almost a trickle charge with a 110 volt charging, because you're going to need to charge it for a weekend to keep it, if you're using it every day. I have a 30 amp charger that I can throw on if I need to, but again, you need to keep that in mind. If you're using it over and over and over again, charging the battery could be a problem as well. The wheels, Dexter axles, are pretty much the standard. They're great axles. I have them on my trailer. They're fantastic. But you just keep in mind, it's better to build a trailer. If you're building a trailer, overbuild it and just be done with it. 7,000 pound axles are pretty standard for the 14 and 16K, or the 14K dump trailers. And the reason why you see a lot of 14K dump trailers is because with a 14K dump trailer, you can get any F250, 350 single wheel and still be under that 26,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. And again, it's this one right here. You can see the solid wheels are a dead giveaway. Usually they're 8K axles as well. So this is a 16K trailer, telescoping lift in the front, and then usually you're gonna have at a minimum of 7K jack up front. And it's the I-beam frame. This is a tube frame, but I-beam and tube both are going to be completely adequate for your needs. Down the road, I think some people did some testing and I looked, and the tube frame, the box framing, is a little more resistant to torsion and flex than I-beam. So just take that for what it's worth. I don't think I would ever load any one of these trailers up to enough to take advantage of that anyway. So keep that in mind. You're going to have a coupler up front. Usually this one, like you said, you've seen this picture before, but the adjustable coupler up front is obviously a must, depending on the vehicle you're towing it with. But that most all of them, you're going to be spending upwards of 7K to 8, 9, 10, 12K are all going to be adjustable couplers up front, because that's what you're paying for as well. So just keep that in mind. Again, this is another example of an I-beam frame. Again, gussets in the corners there. You can see they're more than adequate as well. So this is a new trailer that in my area, I have not heard of this one, more Eats, but again, small, pretty heavy duty as well, but keep that. All right, next is paint versus powder coating. There is another option. It's called hot dip galvanized, but I will go over that in a second. But paint versus powder coating. Powder coating is going to be a little more durable, or a lot more durable, depending on who you ask. But paint is also okay in the fact that you can actually touch it up. If you get a scratch, you can sand it out and then primer and paint it back, and which is great. Powder coating, if you get a chip or a ding, or something happens and there's exposed metal, you can't just touch it up. You've got to, it's an ordeal process. So that's where I would probably go with a paint over a powder coat. Now again, both of them are adequate. It's just depending on, it's your preference really, and my preference would be a paint over a powder coat for sure. Now there is a Canadian company, NNN, hot dip galvanized, which it's a process. You galvanize steel, makes it very resistant to rust, which is great. You're gonna get this kind of sheeny, silvery, aluminum-ish finish on your trailer, which is it's not my cup of tea, but obviously it's gonna last a long time. I haven't seen any bad reviews about this at all, except for the cost. That's about the only bad review. But again, it's quality. You're paying for what you get. As we round this video out here, another thing, you can get solar chargers for your battery bank, the trickle chargers as well. There's a bunch of other, additional D-rings in the center, which I highly recommend if you can get them wall mounted and not on the bed itself, just because it can collect debris if you're dumping it out. Also, if you can get a single piece bed, like a 7-gauge single piece or 10-gauge single piece bed, no seams in the center or anything like that, that's obviously any welded seam is going to be a spot where it could be damaged, or anything like that where water can sink in, or if it's a bad weld, then you got to deal with that down the road as well. So I always look for the less seams inside the bed, just because of that reason. 12 inches on center is obviously better than 16 inches on center, but it does way more, takes down your payload, etc., etc. So you got to keep that in mind, how much, just because you're loading this trailer up with a bunch of reinforcement means your payload's going down. So you can get a really awesome trailer and then not be able to not be able to haul the load you want to, or be stuck with the payload of a 7,000, like a cheaper trailer for obvious reasons. So again, in closing, telescoping lifts obviously are a must for me, and just overbuild it and get as much as you can as far as axle rating and ease of use and coupler, because that's what it comes down to. Now I'll say a couple of the higher brands of me going out and research are Texas Pride, B-Wise, Lamar. You've got SureTrack, N&M, that galvanized one out of Canada. Those seem to be like the highest ones. You do have Diamond C and PJ, but I did see some actual online reviews and some firsthand experience comments in Facebook groups and stuff that said that those weren't the best quality for sure, but they could have been old. You never know. So now Iron Bowl, Big Tex, Load Trail, I mean they're all pretty much the same quality and the same price point as well, depending apples to apples for sure, because the 14,000 pounds is going to be less than the one you're looking at right now, which is 21,000 pound or more. And again, that's about all I have for this. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. If there's any other questions you have, I think I pretty much dumped about all the information I have, and it's there's probably hundreds of manufacturers out there, and they're not all the same. So if a trailer's really cheap, there's a reason why. You got to look at the axles. You want grease points. You want Zerk fittings. You want, if you want underbeds, tool storage, etc., etc. The 7-pin connectors, if they have the silicone, which is low temperature area, it's great. And make sure it comes with a quality battery, because obviously the pump and the battery are what lift up your load. So every hoist is going to be able to lift the load that it's designed to lift. But in my case itself, I will probably overload the trailer just by not thinking and working on a project and just keep loading it up than I am worried about dumping the load multiple times a day to take advantage of the scissor lift speed. And the dual ram was never an option for me, just because it's honestly just it doesn't work for me, period. I don't even see it. It's just economic. That's just low bad design. I mean, I don't know why it's even on the dump trailer, because it's probably cheap to do it in dual ram as well. So like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate it. Leave a comment in the description.